Order, please. Today we will hear member statements from the honourable members for the District of Ferryland, Humber-Bay of Islands, Mount Pearl-Southlands, Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans, and Fortune Bay, Cape Lahune. The honourable member for Ferryland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognise and congratulate the organisers of the 10th Annual Calvert Masters Golf Tournament. The event was held August 22nd and was organised by volunteers from the community of Calvert. It is an event where current and past residents and friends of the community are invited to play in the support of a charity. The first 5 years of the charity of choice was the Dr. H. Bliss Murphy Cancer Care Foundation, and the past 5 years is the Janeway's Children's Hospital Foundation. The 2019 event raised $53,500 for the Janeway. All net proceeds will assist the Janeway Foundation to acquire the newest pediatric medical equipment, continued education, life-saving research and vital programming for pediatric care. The last 10 years have been a great success. Organisers have raised over $565,000. Thank you to the community of Calvert for choosing to support children's health care and cancer care charities in the province. The committee is confident the event will continue for years to come as golfers to compete for the coveted green jacket. Mr. Speaker, I ask all members in this House to join me in congratulating the organisers of the Calvert Masters Golf Tournament on another successful tournament. Thank you.
The honourable member for Humber-Bay of Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the honour today to rise in this honourable House to recognise a lady who promised she would do a jig for me on her birthday. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow as Miss Lillian May Wells of Cox's Cove will celebrate her 107th birthday. Born in Gillam's Bay of Islands, December 6, 1912, Mrs. Wells was the oldest of 5 children born to Edmund and Margaret Blanchard. In her younger years, she worked in the woods with her father cutting wood and helped out with whatever needed to be done. She worked in the hearing store, operated her own convenience store, and took in boarders every winter. In 1949, as a young widow, she moved to Cox's Cove with her 5 daughters to work as a housekeeper for Benjamin Wells, a widower with 4 children. In 1953, they married and had 2 more children. She now has 23 grandchildren, 33 great-grandchildren, 20 great-great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-great-grandchildren. With the help of family and home care workers, Miss Wells still resides in her home, and she enjoys company dropping by for a chat. I recently visited her, and she is very witty, and she even gets out to do a little jab at the time at me. Mr. Speaker, I ask all members to join me, Miss Lillian Wells, on a very happy 170th birthday, and thank you, Miss Wells.
The honourable member for Mount Pearl-Southlands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It gives me great pleasure to rise as Honourable House to recognise the accomplishments of 2 individuals who have given their time and talents to the sport of soccer in the city of Mount Pearl and have recently seen their achievements recognised by being inducted into the Mount Pearl Soccer Hall of Fame. Dave Bailey's playing career epitomises the consistent competitive qualities necessary to achieve a high standard of success in sport, which can be attested to by his teammates in both minor and master soccer over a 36-year span. During that time, he has demonstrated tremendous skill and has won numerous team and individual awards. John Kelly represented the Mount Pearl Soccer Association as a player for 24 years, starting in the under-8 division and continuing through to the Men's Challenge Cup team. Like Dave, John too received numerous team and individual accolades over the years and was a coach's dream, taking on every role assigned with passion, competitiveness and heart. John's playing career was cut short due to an injury, but he continued to give back as a coach from 2005 to 2016. I ask all members of this Honourable House to join me on congratulating these 2 quality individuals on a tremendous soccer career and on being inducted into the Mount Pearl Soccer Hall of Fame. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognise Mr. Bruce Moores of Grand Falls-Windsor for his extensive life as a volunteer. Mr. Morris has devoted 42 years of service to the Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Department as a captain. He has spent many mornings over the years feeding children in the breakfast programs up to 3 days a week. Mr. Morris has spent time as a councillor for Grand Falls-Windsor and as a scout leader in Botwood in his earlier days. In the past, he has received Citizen of the Year for Grand Falls-Windsor as the list of volunteer work goes on and on. Turning 77 on December 25th of this year, his birth date is fitting as he has donned the red suit and white beard on many occasions, bringing smiles to children's faces in the Santa Claus Parade. On November 14th, Bruce Morris was inducted into the Newfoundland and Labrador Volunteer Hall of Fame. I ask members to join me as we honor one of our longest serving and dedicated volunteers, Mr. Bruce Morris.
The honourable member for Fortune Bay, Cape Hune.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize a noted citizen of Bay d'Espoir who was recently featured in an episode of CBC's Land and Sea. Mr. Ralph Coombs is a longtime lumberjack of this community who resided there all of his life. He and his wife Beatrice raised 6 children who have all made their own impacts in life, but no bigger impact than what the life of their father has taught them. To sum up the children's words, Dad is amazing. Mr. Coombs is a great example of how to live your life on the simplest of terms. Having worked in the construction industry until he retired at 65, he then went to work in the woods. Not one for sitting down, with a passion he made the forest of the area his personal workspace, harvesting wood by the cord, making memories with his children up at the cabin, and helping his neighbors. At 89 years old, he treasures his time working with his chainsaw, just as he treasures time with family. A positive outlook on life keeps him going, and his life's lesson is one for all of us. Ralph, keep that chainsaw going. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.